Good evening. I'd like to call the Marlborough School Committee to order at 7:46 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
No, it's fine. I don't know.
We'll find that out as we go. Just push me back together again.
Okay.
This is
anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, it hasn't been ordered yet.
Okay, so this evening we have a presentation on the Accelerated Learning Academy. Mrs. Murphy, do you want to introduce us?
Yes. It is my pleasure. We wanted to update you on the Accelerated Learning Academy. The Accelerated Learning Academy is one of the action steps, one of the goals that came out of our updated strategies for improvement. And Michael Allen is here to update you on some plans for the fall so that we could move forward with them.
Can you just make sure the little green button is on so you're mic'd, the light? You see a light?
Yes.
Excellent.
So, good evening.
Good evening.
So, good evening. I'm Michael Allen, the Director of Alternative Education for the City of Marlborough. It's a pleasure meeting everyone. So, we are working on completing some of our mandates, which is to expand our alternative education options for students. So the Accelerated Learning Academy really is an extension of like the METIS program, but not for students who are ELLs. Okay. So, but they are students who are having great difficulty finishing school. So the program itself does offer social emotional as well as wellness pieces in it. Very much more supportive environment. There's only going to be, starting for this coming September, about 10 students. We've already begun to recruit or take recommendations for the program. The students, however, are not behavioral problems. I mean, these are really kids who are struggling for a variety of different reasons. And again, it could be mental health issues, it could be family, home, they need to work. I've also engaged, for example, what is their name? Chick-fil-A, who has come in and interviewed some of our kids for the METIS program. We're going to do the same thing for these students to provide them an opportunity for work during the school week. School itself will be on the Tuesdays and Thursdays, running from the 4 o'clock to 9 o'clock time, so it will be same time that METIS is running also. So our goal at this point really is to start the hiring of some of our teachers and hoping to get your approval this evening to do that.
Michael, will you speak for a couple of minutes? It is going to be similar, the same content, so the focus on the tested areas because it's a competency-based?
Kids will have to pass MCAS. I mean, there's no getting around that. They will have to pass it. But their education will be more focused, and the program will allow students to progress at their own pace. So, but in the same respect, their work is going to be semesterized. So they're going to get kind of like that college feel. They're going to get the support to be able to be successful. But again, they're going to be able to accelerate their learning. And so they are typically overaged and undercredited. And really by going through this process, they hopefully can come close or graduate at the same time as their original peers.
Were you shooting for a minimum age requirement, did you say?
Yes, students have to be 17. They have to have been in school for 2 years prior to even applying to the program. They do have to sign a contract with us, go through the whole interview process, and willing to participate completely, and also meet the requirements for the attendance, which is 95% or better, and they need to maintain that.
Do I remember something as well, the potential schedule that you're moving forward with? You mentioned the counseling. Is there a dinner time to build into that?
There is dinner. Dinner is going to be at between 5 o'clock and 5:30 for all the students. So prior to that, though, is when the wellness or our group sessions will take place. So they'll have one of those two things during that week. But dinner is provided for all of our students, as well as transportation.
I was just going to ask, I was going to ask about transportation for, I mean, I would assume, I'm not going to, well, I shouldn't assume anything, but many of them may be driving already, so they can provide their own. You mentioned you're starting with 10.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to hope as a district we're not putting a capacity limit on it as far as if we, excuse me, if we identify more. Can we bring more in during the school year, or is it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. But the base group, it's important that we start and we are successful with them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, of course, of course.
I've done this program in other places, including Mark Wahlberg, believe it or not, he was part of that. And doing this kind of program, you have to be able to be flexible enough to be able to work with adults, be able to, you know, again, be flexible, but help kids and adults understand how to navigate life and circumstances, etc. So, yeah.
How many staff members do we need to utilize for the 10?
Probably 4.
Or to cover all the
Yes.
subject areas? Okay.
Are you looking for 3 content? You were also looking for someone more on the social, emotional, that support? Yes, yes. Yeah.
So one of them would be a SAC or something. I mean,
Yes, they can be. It could be a school nurse. We've had school nurses work with us before. Very important with our medicine students who are new and have had no shots. So, you know, they were able to take care of that and make sure all our kids have access to that. But the social emotional piece is going to be very, very important.
sure.
Thank you. This sounds wonderful. I mean,
Yeah.
every child that
Amazing.
can be touched by this, I
I hope so.
yeah.
Truly
no.
hope so.
Any other questions? So we don't, this is not on for action. We don't have to vote on it.
This is not, this
happening.
is for information because we also wanted to make sure that we updated the committee before we moved forward with recruiting any staff for it.
But it's already budgeted,
It is already budgeted,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
so we're good.
Yes. Yep.
So you just came to inform us and get our blessing, which sounds like we have.
Bravo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Great.
yeah.
Thank you. It's a
Super.
pleasure meeting everyone.
Nice meeting
Please,
you as
and,
well.
and maybe at the end of the year, you can come back and let us know how things went.
Absolutely.
We'd love it.
Pleasure.
That would
Or
be great.
come and visit.
Absolutely.
definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
What? I could walk there. You could walk there. Yeah, it's, I told you, it's right on your way past softball games. Take care, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, well, superintendent's report. So you have Mike's leftover report.
I do have Mike's leftover report. So his first item was he wanted to thank the committee. And I don't want to take his words from him. I'm sure everyone has read them. So
We don't need any more crying tonight.
yes, so know that he was sincere and wanted everyone to be thanked. The second item on his on his report was a recommendation for the appointment for the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And Mike and I talked about this quite a lot, as I think every member of the committee, but just in case the community doesn't know, there was a committee that screened and interviewed the candidates for the Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, and they made a recommendation to me as the future superintendent, and then I met with Mike, Superintendent Bergeron, and he recommended for appointment Dr. Robert Skaza as Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning. And Superintendent Bergeron wanted everyone to know that he was making that recommendation with full confidence that Dr. Skaza will first meet and then exceed every expectation that this committee has for the role of Assistant Superintendent. And then he talks a lot about his personal experience with Dr. Skaza. I'm hoping to be able to, once this appointment is approved, to share with the whole community later on today Dr. Skaza's appointment. I'm pointing out the fact that he has been a member of the Marlborough Public School community for over 20 years. He first started as a ABA therapist. At that time, that's what support personnel was talked about in the autism program. He was a teacher, a coach, an assistant principal, and finally a principal. He came to the interview and he has a formal entry plan, actions that he is looking forward to hitting the ground running with as soon as people know that and you have approved his appointment. So it is with great pleasure that we make this recommendation. And I think that covers Mike's report.
Okay. And you didn't have anything of your own that you wanted to add, aside from?
No, I just want, no.
Okay.
The Accelerated Learning Academy was my one action.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I just had a quick update to the Committee from Finance and Operations. First, I wanted to celebrate our first 75% food services participation day. As the committee know, we've been pushing hard to increase participation in food services, first by implementing universal free meals and then just really marketing the program. So over at Good Now on June 15th, kitchen manager Rachel Shaughnessy and her staff served 600 lunches to the Good Now students, and that was just over 75%. We want to get to a point where district-wide, our average for the month, or for the year really, is 75% of our students participating. This was a first important milestone that I just wanted to celebrate. So kudos to Rachel. Wanted to remind the community that the students' participation in the food service program is a huge benefit to the district and to the meals program. We reinvest all dollars into improving the program. So also wanted to update the committee on the HVAC projects at Kane and Jarrick. We received our first set of estimates for the two projects. This has been a long way coming. We have earmarked $6.4 million in federal funding from ESSER funds towards these programs. And based on the first set of estimates that we received, we are about $2 million short, which is unfortunately a fairly significant shortage. We are getting a second set of estimates just to double check those numbers. If those figures stick, we're planning on prioritizing Jarrick just because it's a bigger school, more students, and we experienced a little bit more of a heat issue on that site. But yet we'll continue evaluating options for the Kane School because we know that has to be addressed as well. So that's the update that I have now. The progress, the project is progressing, and I'm happy about that, and we'll know more towards the end of summer. So I'll have a further update for the committee in the August meeting. Lastly, the FY22 budget, which the fiscal year 2022 ended on June 30, so a few days ago, and my team is now actively wrapping up that fiscal year and cleaning up the books. We were able to make some important investments with end-of-year funds, with FY22 funds, and those were a new purchase of an ELA curriculum, so we renewed that license, and we were able to fully fund the furniture for both the Good Now classrooms as well as the 3 classrooms here at ECC. We bought some nice new equipment for our hardworking custodial team, and we were also able to help out with some capital needs for the schools. For example, we were able to purchase enough bottle fillers that we will be able to retrofit all the bottle fillers throughout the schools. So one caveat with that is that we were able to purchase the machines, the units. We will implement them into the schools throughout the year. It's a lot of work to do over the summer months when the facilities team already had enough going on. So we'll slowly integrate them. We expect that they should be done by the end of the fiscal year 2023, but we have them all, which is great. We're upgrading telephones at Jarek and ECC, building a vestibule over at Kane, renewing partitions at the richer bathrooms. At Whitcomb, we're updating fire alarms, getting some additional some window shatterproof film, and we're replacing the HVAC units over at the Whitcomb gymnasium, as well as getting some new chillers for the high school. So these are nice long-term investments that we're making that should improve our buildings. Happy to answer any questions about this.
I have a question just following up on the furniture donation. I actually was at Whitcomb one day, and I saw all kinds of desks being loaded onto a truck. And so is that all complete? Old stuff has been donated, new stuff is in, or?
It's progressing well. It's not complete yet. It's been very busy and slightly hectic, but all of the volunteers that received the donations, so it's a coalition of churches, and they're operating with volunteers. They have shown up every single day. They're wonderful to work with, and that's progressing very well. But there's only so much that they can do with volunteers. So they should be done by the end of July, where everything that we're giving away is going to be off our buildings. The new furniture is also coming in. It's been a staggered delivery. We prioritized the high school because of the summer programs we're running there. And those deliveries are going really well also. So things are progressing well. I'm happy to report that.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other questions for Mr. Diaz? Seeing none, thank you very much. Ms. Murphy, are you going to?
Yes, I will do.
You're wearing a lot of hats.
You are.
I am. Assistant Superintendent O'Brien would like to update the committee on the Marlborough Public Schools summer programs. So EL Director Lynn Medallion, Special Education John Fletcher, Assistant Superintendent Jody O'Brien and I have spent the spring planning for summer programming for our students. Special Education, EL, Title I, Credit Recovery, and Camp Innovation programs are running this summer through July and the first week of August. We've also added, this is the second year, we have a transition program, the Jumpstart program for incoming 6th graders that takes place for a week throughout the month for the rest of this month and to the first week of August for groups of students that are coming from the 5th grade into the 6th. And that wasn't included there. All programs will be in person this summer with no remote instruction being provided. While participation has begun, and we are actually seeing about 500 to 600 students a week because Camp Invention adds an additional 90 students or so for the 2 weeks that takes place. Transportation is provided, and breakfast and lunch is also provided daily for every student. The programs are located at the ECC, the Goodnow Elementary, and Marlborough High School. The dates, times, and locations and grade levels of all these programs are also included in the handout that is in the flyer. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
I mean,
Matthews?
obviously, the numbers are significant for this year, which is wonderful. And I assume we're feeding them all through
Yep.
breakfast and lunch too, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I like the idea of that Jumpstart program too.
It's great.
It's a nice, I'm sure there's a lot of kids who need that
Just
extra.
anxious about going to the
Yeah.
middle school and,
I will say that one of the teachers that is teaching it this summer is teaching it because of the experience she had with the sixth graders that came in September. She said that they felt so much more comfortable, there was very little anxiety, and they were actually able to lead the groups of other sixth graders and show them the building, what they learned over the week. It just made a big difference in the transition. And we've known in the past that those transition years, when we look at our data, when we look at student achievement, we get a dip because there's so much anxiety, especially at the beginning of the year, so.
yeah, changing classes.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a big.
All of that.
It's a big
We
deal.
might want to look at
Lockers.
ninth graders too. right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Excellent. Do we know, did you tell us how many kids are participating in that? Do we know how many kids are participating in that Jumpstart?
In the Jumpstart, there was a larger group the first week. I think there was 35, and then it was something like 25 for each of the other weeks. So I think when I counted it up, it was about a quarter of the fifth graders were doing it.
And were they self-selecting, or did teachers recommend them?
Ms.
or-
House opened it up to all of the parents, and she talked about it during her information nights in the spring.
Thank you. Acceptance of the minutes of the June 4th school committee meeting.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept the minutes. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Public participation. Public participation. Anyone wishing to be heard? No one is here for public participation. Okay, action items. Memorandum of Understanding between the Marlborough School Committee and the Cafeteria Employees, SEIU Local 888.
So, thanks to Mr. Diaz and Superintendent Bergeron, we were able to come to a quick agreement with the cafeteria unit for a successive contract for 3 years. And in an executive session, we voted to accept it, but I would like to vote publicly on it as well. So a motion to accept the memorandum of understanding between Marlborough School Committee and the Cafeteria Employees, SEIU Local 888.
I will second that motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? It carries. Thank you to Mr. Diaz for your hard work and for the cafeteria union as well. Superintendent's evaluation. So we, as we do yearly, evaluated Superintendent Bergeron, who is no longer here, and since we didn't have our meeting before we left, we didn't get to publicly review his evaluation. Just so everyone knows, I am forwarding his evaluation to him, so he will have it. I will also make it available to you, to Mrs. Murphy, mostly because I think, you know, comments that people made around areas for improvement, I think, are important for you to hear. I don't know that it's important to read everything out loud like we usually do since he's no longer here, but I will announce that on his 4 goals, professional practice goals, student learning goals, and 2 district improvement goals, the committee found that he met all of those goals. And on the 4 standards around instructional leadership, management and operations, family and community engagement, and professional culture, he was found to be proficient in all areas. So that's it.
Motion to place on file?
Motion made and seconded to place on file. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? It carries. Thank you. FY22 operating budget transfers.
Thank you very much. I have a few transfers for the committee's consideration tonight. All of these transfers are being made from the nurse coordinator line because we had some savings in that line for not filling that position and transferring into various accounts. So here at ECC, it's a transfer of $7,350 to offset overages in the paraeducator line and the BT line. At Goodnow, asking for a transfer of $8,120 to offset overages in the teacher line due to long-term sub, overages in the clerical line due to OT, and overages in the after-school line due to additional student needs in FY22. Also asking for a transfer to support overages in the general supply lines at that school. At Jarrick, requesting a transfer of $5,035 to offset overages in the teacher line due to a long-term sub, as well as clerical line due to OT. At Kane, requesting a transfer of $1,870 to offset overages in the clerical line due to OT and funding needed for additional after-school programming. At Richard, requesting a transfer of $4,000 to offset overages in the teacher line due to long-term subs. At Whitcomb, requesting a transfer of $5,500 from the to offset overages in the teacher line due to long-term subs, as well as additional after-school programming needs. At MHS, requesting a transfer of $2,250 to offset overages in the custodial equipment line, as well as the student activity lines. And those are all. I'm happy to answer any questions there may be.
Motion to approve the transfers. Sorry.
Motion made and seconded to approve. So for clarity, this is still 2022.
Yes.
We're delayed. This meeting was delayed by 2 weeks. So
We can go back and amend and make a transfer dated back to prior to June 30.
So will this then wrap up what you need to do in order to close out?
We're still cleaning up the books a little bit, but just closing purchase orders and things that doesn't usually come in front of the school committee, not transfers between lines.
Right. Okay, great. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appointment of superintendent of schools. I guess
I will say first, I'm happy to report that we have come to a contract agreement with our next superintendent of schools, Mary Murphy. And I will make a motion to publicly appoint her with a contract to our superintendent of schools for a 3-year contract.
Excellent. Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Yay!
Yay,
Officially.
finally.
Thank you.
Cover up the assistant on your sign if you want.
Thank you.
And appointment of assistant superintendent of teaching and learning. So this would be based now on contract negotiations with Dr. Skaza. So I guess we can accept, we can
Your
vote to
recommendation.
accept the recommendation, correct? Is that?
Yes. Pending this contract negotiation.
Sounds right.
Yes. So a motion to accept the recommendation of Dr. Skaza as the new Assistant Superintendent of Teaching and Learning, pending the contract negotiations.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Congratulations, Dr. Skaza. Assabet Valley Collaborative Representative. So, as part of the Assabet Valley Collaborative, we send a representative as part of their board, right?
Yes,
And traditionally, it is the superintendent.
yes.
So the recommendation by the chair is that we vote to accept Superintendent Murphy as the Marlborough representative to the Assabet Valley Collaborative Board effective July 1st, 2022.
Motion to appoint Superintendent Murphy.
Motion made and seconded to appoint Superintendent Murphy. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor?
It
Opposed?
took us 5 minutes to give you extra
Carry.
work.
Congratulations, you are the new representative to the Assabet Valley
Thank
Collaborative.
you.
Policy for removal. Who wants to address that in Mrs. Hennessy's absence?
Well,
She gave you an update, didn't she?
she gave me an update, but all it said was make sure they understood that this was, basically, we had two policies, that addressed the same issue. And so this is just, after looking at the policies, this is the one we recommend removal. They're pretty much worded the same, but this is being recommended for removal. And if you look down further, we did make a slight adjustment in the one we're recommending keeping, which will come up when we look at it later on. So that's the recommendation, is that we're making the motion that we remove policy 8.110, Student Advisory Committee.
Is that your motion?
That's the motion.
Motion made and seconded to remove policy 8.110, Student Advisory Committee. Any discussion?
Can we, is it?
No, it's a two.
It's the 2.223.
For removal or for first read?
8110 is 2.2.
Oh, it's reversed on the agenda.
Okay, well, I should probably have heard something.
No.
It says it's removing 2.223.
Okay, on the agenda, it says for removal 8.110.
Okay, may I reverse the motion?
So, yes,
Okay, I take back the motion, I make a motion that we remove 2.223.
thank
Nice
you
job
for
of
that
getting that
catch,
screwed up.
Mrs.
Sorry
Murphy.
about that.
Yeah, it's incorrect on the agenda, but not on the
Yeah.
documentation.
There.
Yeah.
Okay, so the policy we are removing is policy
sent me that.
2.223, Student Advisory Committee. And that's your motion?
Yes, that's
Mr.
the right
Caruso.
motion.
And that, I am seconding that motion.
But hold on, because I think.
Yeah, because they're in the
that-
packet wrong, too.
I think that is the packet then incorrect? Is the packet after the removal, it says 8.110.
Yeah. 8110 is the one being removed. 2.223 is the one being
I
kept.
have the email that Catherine sent me, I'll read right from it if it helps. It says,
Sure.
The policy removal is supposed to be, policy for removal is supposed to be policy 1.110, and to keep is policy 2.223.
Right.
Oh, so you were,
You were
so
right.
your
First
original,
time.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
all right.
That's
So
how it-
scratch
that's how
that,
it-
let's rewind.
Let's just rewind, and why don't you make a new motion with the correct
Make a
one
motion
for
that you don't
removal?
let me do this ever
Mrs.
again.
Murphy is not,
Okay, this is the
is
correct
this
motion.
incorrect,
Yes.
or this is correct?
I think the numbers are wrong on this sheet, I think. But, yeah.
Yeah.
This is the email she sent me, so.
Yeah.
It says, okay, so I'm recommending according to this, I make a motion that we remove policy 8.110.
And I will second that motion to remove policy 8.110. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, opposed, carries. Now, the following are being put on the table for first read, and we'll take them up at the next meeting for a
Right.
vote. Policies 2.223, also named Student Advisory Committee. Policy 8.105, DNR, Comfort Care.
015, right? Yeah.
8.015.
Yeah.
Policy 8.450, Foster Care Education. And Policy 9.700, Homeless Education, which will have a new number, 8.350. Mr. Caruso, would you like to make a motion?
I would like a motion to put these on the table until the next meeting.
Motion made and seconded to place the 4 policies for first read. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Acceptance of donations and gifts. We have from O'Connor Portraiture to the Early Childhood Center, $628.52.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Also, O'Connor Portraiture for Goodnow Brothers Elementary School, $1,798.76.
Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. O'Connor Studios to Jarrick Elementary School, $1,597.48.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Educational Alliance Program for Whitcomb Middle School, $500.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Global Montello Group for Marlborough High, $750.
Motion to accept.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. And O'Connor Studios again, Richer Elementary School, $1,298.36.
Motion to accept. Excuse me.
Motion made and seconded to accept. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Reports of school committee subcommittees. Any reports?
Earl, we didn't have a settled yet on the new policy subcommittee, right? We're still
I believe we're
discussing.
having one probably 25th. I don't think she's
Just wanna
posted it
say,
yet,
yeah,
though.
but Make sure.
Did you say the 25th?
25th, I believe.
Okay. Anything else? Nothing else? Members forum. Mrs. Matthews.
I reviewed and signed the warrant.
Excellent. And regarding that, how are we set for the summer for signing of warrants on everyone's plates? Is everybody good?
You just tell me
I'll send you
when.
the
Let
dates.
her know.
The auditor's office has graciously allows us to keep a 2-week gap throughout the summer,
Oh.
which is 3 warrants without a meeting, one of which was actually today, so we already covered one. So there's two warrants without a scheduled meeting. But I'll reach out to Mrs. Matthews when they're okay, and I'll make sure that all of the committee gets the warrants when they're ready to be reviewed.
Excellent. Great, thank you. Anybody else for members forum?
Can I
Yes.
ask a question? Because I'm sure the public might be wondering, with the appointment of Dr. Skaza to his new position, when will we publicly be announcing his successor? Is that the right wording? Or the new principal at Richer? Will we be discussing that, or will you be announcing that soon?
Excellent question.
I can do it now. I'm about to send out Yes.
I just know people are waiting to find out.
Yes, very exciting.
So we have, I'm very proud that we have a veteran team of educators that are committed to the students and staff and the community of Marlborough. This is Lisa Richards, has agreed to be the interim principal of the Richer Elementary School. I'm going to be sending that out shortly. To assist her, veteran school administrator, Mr. Wayne Labby, is going to transfer to the year to Richer School and be the assistant principal there. We're hoping to post tomorrow. I will send that email as well. For Mrs. House is going to be looking for an interim assistant principal at this late notice. We felt that this was the best plan. So we have a plan in place. We're very excited and happy that all members of the team are willing to do whatever they can, whatever is needed to make sure that we're successful.
Great.
Thank you for asking.
Great, sounds good, thank you.
Excellent. And I would like to just congratulate all the new people for their new roles, and very exciting that we've got, so many talented educators in our district that we are able to keep things moving without too much disruption. So
We should probably note that Dr. Scazza would probably be here tonight, except that he's at a conference. Already working.
already working.
So congratulations to all.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that. Anybody else?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion made and seconded to adjourn at 8:28 PM. Thank you. Oh, we have to vote on that. Motion made and seconded to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? We are now adjourned at 8:29 PM.